Okay, what if I told you that the biggest thing standing between you and real financial freedom isn't your income, it's your stuff? Today, we're going to dive into this pretty radical idea that our relationship with our possessions might just be the hidden key that decides whether we feel rich or completely broke, no matter what our paycheck says.
All right, to really get this, let's start with a story. I want you to picture two apartments, okay? They're in the exact same neighborhood, rent is identical, but what's going on inside of them, well, that tells two totally different stories about what wealth really is. So in apartment number one, we've got someone earning a pretty solid $95,000 a year. And yeah, they've got the huge 75-inch TV, all the latest gadgets, the whole 9 yards. But there's this constant knot in their stomach because they are literally two missed paychecks away from a total financial crisis. Now, in the second apartment, we have someone earning almost half that, just $52,000 a year. But this person, they've got 18 months of living expenses saved up, and they're investing 20% of every single paycheck, like clockwork. You see, the difference isn't the income, it's this hidden cost that one person has totally mastered and the other hasn't even noticed is there.
To really understand how this is possible, we have to pull back the curtain a little bit and look past the stories and into the cold, hard data. There's a really powerful economic force at play here that explains why so many of us feel financially squeezed, even when we're making more money than ever. So, look at this chart. This gap right here is everything. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, our household spending is climbing at about 5.1% a year. But guess what? Our wages are only growing by 3.8%. That little gap, that's where all the financial stress lives. And a huge chunk of that extra spending isn't on rent or food. It's on what we're going to call zombie possessions. So what on earth is a zombie possession? Well, you know what I'm talking about. It's that fancy bread maker you used twice 3 years ago. Or all that gear for a hobby that you were obsessed with for like one winter. The thing is, these items aren't just sitting there doing nothing. They've actively turned against you, and they're quietly draining your money, your space, and your energy. And this leads us to the most crucial point, the one I really want you to remember. Every single thing you buy has two price tags. The first one is easy, it's right there on the receipt, but the second one, it's invisible, and it's almost always bigger. This is the second cost of ownership. So let's break that down. First, you've got storage, the actual physical space your stuff takes up in your home. Then there's maintenance and upkeep for it, but just as important is the mental energy, the clutter, which research has literally shown increases our stress hormones. And then there's the big one, the real killer, opportunity cost. That's the money that item could have been making for you if it were invested instead. And this example just perfectly illustrates the point. Let's say you bought that treadmill for $1,000. You think that's the cost, right? Wrong. If you live in a city, you might be paying around, say, $50 per square foot in rent. Well, a 20-square-foot treadmill is now costing you an extra $1,000 a year in what we can call implicit rent, just for the privilege of storing it. It's paying rent to you, and you're the landlord. It's crazy when you think about it like that. Okay, so that's the problem. And I know it can feel a bit overwhelming, right? But here is the good news. There is a clear, step-by-step plan to fight back and get your financial breathing room back. It's called the 30-day possession audit. We're going to break this whole thing down into 4 simple one-week sprints. Week 1 is all about awareness. Week 2, we introduce something called the replacement test. Week 3 is where it gets fun. We run the numbers. And finally, week 4 is all about building a system that actually lasts. So let's look at how each week builds on the last one. All right, week 1 is super simple, but honestly, it's profound. Don't just guess, actually count. Pick a category, shirts, mugs, books, whatever, and get a real number. The goal here isn't to feel ashamed. It's to just reveal the kind of absurdity of our own accumulation. Because I'm telling you, when you know for a fact that you own 47 t-shirts, the impulse to buy number 48 suddenly feels a lot less urgent. Now, in week 2, we apply this incredibly powerful mental filter. You just go through your home, look at an item, and ask this one brutally honest question. If this thing just vanished overnight, would I take my own hard-earned money to buy it again? If the answer is no, or even a hesitant maybe, then that item has negative value in your life. It is actively costing you space, focus, and peace of mind. Okay, now for week 3, this is where we shift from the small stuff to the big ticket items. And this is where we uncover what I like to call million-dollar choices. These are the handful of decisions that over time have a truly massive impact on your net worth. Let's use a super common example. You're trying to choose between 2 cars.
One costs $50,000, and the other is a perfectly good, reliable alternative that costs $30,000. So the difference on the sticker is 20 grand. That seems kind of manageable, right? But hold on, that is not the real number. If you took that $20,000 difference and you invested it instead, over 25 years, it could grow to over $270,000. That's the true second cost. That slightly nicer car didn't cost you $20,000. No, it cost you over $250,000 in your future wealth. And finally, week 4 is all about making this change stick. Look, a massive one-time purge feels great, but the clutter always comes back. The key is to create a system, something simple like a one in, one out policy for your clothes. But even more important, you have to define your finish line. You have to consciously decide that, you know what, a 5-year-old car is enough, or a 1,200 square foot home is enough. If you don't have a finish line, your lifestyle will always expand to eat up your income. Because when you get right down to it, this whole audit, it isn't really about having less stuff. It's not about minimalism or having sterile, empty rooms. It's about trading something you don't truly value, which is all that physical clutter, for something you value immensely, your freedom. The real prize here, the ultimate goal, is a word: optionality. Optionality is the ability to just walk away from a job you hate. It's the peace of mind knowing you can handle any emergency without panicking. It's the freedom to take a risk, to start a business, to pursue a passion. You are literally trading things for choices. I want you to think about it this way. True wealth isn't the person in the brand new luxury car. Nope. It's the person driving a 10-year-old Honda with a dent in the bumper who quietly happens to have over $4 million sitting in index funds. They haven't just saved money. They have purchased their complete and total freedom. That is the real prize.
So how do you even start? I know, it can feel like you're trying to climb a mountain. But the first step is actually incredibly simple. You don't need to audit your entire life today. So here is your call to action. Right after you finish this, I want you to just pick one room, any room, the kitchen, the bedroom, the garage, whatever, and apply that replacement test to just 10 items. That's it, just 10. Sell them, donate them, or toss them, and just feel that little bit of margin, that little bit of breathing room come back into your life.
Because that's what this is really all about, isn't it? It's about a shift in your mindset. It's about taking back control and asking yourself the single most important question. Are you owning your possessions, or have they slowly, quietly started to own you?